Have you ever noticed how quiet a house can get when it's only you inside? At first, that silence feels peaceful, like freedom. No alarms, no rushing, no expectations. Just stillness. But after a few months, that same silence can start to feel heavy. It's a strange kind of quiet, one that echoes. That's the part no one really talks about when it comes to retirement. Everyone paints it like a golden age, a reward for all the decades of hard work. But behind closed doors, many retirees discover something unexpected. Living alone isn't always what it seems. Meet Marlene, a 62-year-old woman from Seattle. She spent 35 years working as a project coordinator for a logistics company. Organized, reliable, and everyone's go-to person. Her days were filled with phone calls, coffee breaks, and the comforting hum of a busy office. But when she retired last spring, everything changed overnight. She had imagined peaceful mornings with tea on the balcony, catching up on novels she never had time to finish, and maybe traveling once or twice a year. But what she didn't plan for was the space between those moments, the hours when there's no one around, no schedules, no reason to rush. The first few weeks were blissful. She woke up when she wanted, wore her favorite jeans and t-shirts, and cooked slow meals for herself. But by month 3, she started to notice something odd. She'd walk into a room and forget why. She'd talk out loud just to hear a voice. And at night, when the city lights blinked in the distance, she'd catch herself wondering, is this it? You see, the hidden side of living alone after retirement isn't just about loneliness. It's about identity. For decades, Marlene had been needed by coworkers, clients, friends. Now, without those daily connections, she wasn't sure who she was outside of being reliable. That's something many retirees feel but rarely admit. The sudden stillness after years of structure can be jarring. Some people fill it with TV. Others with errands they don't really need to run. But beneath it all lies a quiet question. What gives my life meaning now? Marlene's journey began to shift one Saturday morning. She was watering her plants, small succulents she'd collected from weekend markets, and she realized she'd been talking to them. Not in a crazy way, just casually like they were old friends. And in that small, almost silly moment, something clicked. She realized she wasn't just craving company. She was craving purpose. So she made a rule. Every day she would do one thing that gave her a sense of connection, either with herself or the world. The first day, she joined a community garden project. First, she was shy. Everyone seemed to already know each other, and she wasn't sure where to fit in. But as she dug her hands into the soil, she felt something she hadn't felt in months: belonging. It didn't happen overnight. Some days still felt long. The silence didn't disappear completely, but it began to soften. She found herself smiling more, sleeping better, even eating healthier. And that's the first secret she learned about living alone after retirement. You have to create your own sense of community. It won't come knocking. You build it one small moment at a time. If you're listening to this and nodding, maybe you felt it too. That slow drift between independence and isolation. It's not weakness. It's human. After all, we were never designed to live in silence forever. But here's where Marlene's story takes a twist. About 6 months in, she received a call from her old coworker, David. He told her they were hosting a reunion dinner at a restaurant downtown. She almost said no. The thought of facing everyone, hearing about their busy new lives, made her hesitate. But something inside her whispered go. That evening, she put on her favorite denim jacket, tied her hair in a neat bun, and looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time in months, she recognized the woman staring back. Not as a retiree, not as someone left behind, but as a woman entering a new chapter. When she arrived, the restaurant buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. People hugged, reminisced, and compared stories about what retirement had taught them. Some were thriving. Others were struggling quietly, just like her. And that's when it hit her. Everyone was adjusting in their own way. Living alone didn't make her an outlier. It made her part of a silent club of people trying to redefine what enough means. That night, she didn't feel lonely. She felt connected, to herself, to others, and to something bigger than her routine. Now, here's where this story becomes a mirror for anyone watching. Living alone after retirement isn't the end of connection. It's a redefinition of it. The house may be quiet, but your story doesn't have to be. You have time, wisdom, and freedom that no other stage of life offers. But it's up to you to use it intentionally. Marlene began writing letters again. Real ones on paper. To old friends, distant cousins, even a few pen pals she met through a seniors' writing club online. And each time she sealed an envelope, she felt a spark of life, proof that connection doesn't always require proximity. She started taking evening walks around her neighborhood. First just for exercise. But soon she noticed faces she'd never really seen before. Other retirees, walking dogs, watering lawns, sitting on porches. She started greeting them. Small hellos turned into conversations. Conversations turned into invitations. It wasn't about forcing friendships. It was about staying open. And here's the truth she discovered. You can't control who walks into your life after retirement, but you can control whether your door stays open to possibility. Many seniors fear living alone means fading quietly into the background. But in reality, it can become a season of rediscovery. A chance to explore the parts of yourself that got buried under years of responsibility. For Marlene, that meant learning photography. She started taking pictures of the sunrise from her balcony, capturing the light as it changed each day. Over time, she built an entire photo album called Morning Alone. She shared it online, and to her surprise, people loved it. Some even wrote to say her photos made them feel less alone. And that's another secret about solitude. It can become a bridge, not a wall, if you let it. By the end of her first year alone, Marlene didn't feel invisible anymore. She felt grounded. She understood that solitude wasn't punishment. It was space. Space to listen to herself, to rest, to rebuild from the inside out. So if you're in that stage, newly retired, adjusting to the quiet, or wondering what's next, remember this. Living alone doesn't mean living less. It means learning how to live differently. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll explore the hidden emotional traps of living alone that most retirees never see coming, and how to turn them into unexpected sources of strength. Morning light filters through pale curtains as Marlene rises, the same 62-year-old woman who once dreaded waking to silence. Now she listens. To the birds outside, to the kettle beginning its soft hiss, to her own heartbeat whispering, "You're still here." She smooths her jeans, ties her neat bun, and opens the window. The breeze feels like a small celebration, a reminder that peace can start with something as simple as fresh air. For years she measured mornings by what was missing: voices, footsteps, laughter. Now she measures them by what returns: warmth, gratitude, stillness. Her new rule is gentle but firm. No phone, no television until she's thanked God for one thing. Today it's the smell of coffee and the promise of another sunrise. As the cup warms her hands, she whispers, "This is my time." No rushing, no proving. Just breathing. The change didn't happen overnight. At first, her mind kept replaying old routines. Cooking for two, checking her husband's calendar, worrying about her grown children. But habits fade when replaced with purpose. So she built a new rhythm. Every morning, she takes a slow walk around the small courtyard of her apartment block. Neighbors nod, a few smile. She used to hurry past them. Now she greets each face as if it might be a new story waiting to unfold. When she returns, she opens her notebook, her becoming book, she calls it. It's not a diary of what went wrong, but a list of what went right. Was kind to the grocer today. Didn't skip lunch. Felt grateful before bed. Tiny victories, written in blue ink, stacking into confidence. By late morning, she turns on soft music, old love songs from the 70s, and stretches slowly by the window. Her knees protest, but she laughs, whispering, "Not today, old bones." Movement, she's learned, is more than exercise. It's proof that the body still obeys joy. When the clock strikes noon, she cooks something colorful. No more quick instant noodles. Now it's bright vegetables sizzling in sesame oil. The kitchen filled with fragrance and purpose. She sets the table for one, but adds flowers anyway. Because beauty, she says, is not a luxury. It's self-respect. And when she eats slowly, savoring. She used to scroll through her phone for company. Now she listens to the sound of her own contentment. Spoon against plate, rain against glass, breath against silence. After lunch comes learning hour. Her son taught her how to watch short tutorials online. At first, it felt ridiculous. A woman her age trying to learn digital painting. But the first time she finished a small sketch of her childhood home, she cried. Not because it was perfect, but because it was hers. Every brushstroke felt like reclaiming something lost. Imagination, freedom, curiosity. And through that, she discovered something profound. The brain never retires when the heart still dreams. By afternoon, Marlene calls one friend. Just one, but she does it every day. Sometimes the talk lasts 3 minutes, sometimes 30. She's learned that connection doesn't depend on crowds. It depends on consistency. And each call ends the same way. Laughter. The kind that fills the air like sunlight through open blinds. Evening brings reflection. She lights a candle on her small balcony, the flame dancing like an old friend. She thanks God again, not for what she has, but for what she's learned to let go of. Regret, fear, the need to always be needed. Then she writes a simple line. I chose peace again today. Night falls gently now. The loneliness that once haunted her has softened into solitude. A companion that teaches, not torments. She looks out at the stars and realizes that life didn't end when everyone left. It merely paused until she remembered to press play. For anyone listening who's walking through that same quiet, know this. The hidden side of living alone isn't emptiness. It's rediscovery. It's learning the sound of your own spirit. It's dancing again, even if no one's watching. Tomorrow she'll wake, tie her bun, slip into her jeans, and begin again. Not searching for what she lost, but nurturing what she found, herself. Weeks passed, and Marlene's home began to glow with quiet life. Not from noise or visitors, but from a deep warmth she hadn't felt in years. It was the warmth of a woman becoming whole again. One morning, as she watered her tiny balcony plants, her neighbor, an elderly man named Mr. Choi, waved shyly. He was quiet like she used to be, always looking down at his slippers instead of at people. But that day, Marlene smiled and said, "The sun feels good today, doesn't it?" It was a small sentence, but it opened a door. The next morning he waved first. By the end of the week they were sharing tea. And by the end of the month, they were laughing about who made worse coffee. That's when Marlene realized something simple yet powerful. Healing multiplies when shared. Her peace was contagious, so she started something new. Every Thursday afternoon, she hosted what she called the Balcony Club. No official members, no fees, just whoever wanted to sit, sip tea and talk about life. At first, only 2 people came, Mr. Choi and a retired nurse named Anna. But word spread quickly. Soon there were 5, then 8, all sitting with mismatched mugs, talking about their gardens, their memories, their aches and hopes. No one came to fix anyone else. They came to be reminded they still mattered. Marlene learned that when you live alone, your voice becomes an echo unless you let it reach others. Speaking out loud, even about small things, reclaims your existence. Sometimes they'd read poems. Other times they just sat in silence, listening to the wind move through the plants. And that silence, shared, no longer felt empty. Felt sacred.